Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to be discussing the different methods that are used to determine sex ratios in the eastern indigo snake, and due to technical difficulties I'll be videoing this on my phone. So the problem is that the eastern indigo snake is an imperiled species. It's federally listed on the Endangered Species Act, and so establishing sex ratios is really critical to assessing them in conservation framework. And so there's not really standardized methods using to sex the individuals, and the most common method, which is cloacal probing, has numerous disadvantages. So the first method, cloacal probing, it involves inserting a probe into the snake's cloaca, and for males it can be inserted more because they have invaginated hemipenes. That means you can insert it approximately 1/4 of an inch to an inch, and for females they lack those sex organs, so you can't really insert the probe very far at all. And this is very convenient for field use. The only requirement is a probe, which is very inexpensive, and the results are obtained really quickly. However, it's not applicable to immature snakes because they don't have those sex organs matured, and it's potentially harmful to the snake if you don't do it very carefully. So you can actually rupture the cloacal wall, especially in females, and the results aren't entirely reliable. It's pretty difficult to perform this on a moving snake, so if you catch it from the wild, it's very difficult. This technique is usually used for pets, which is a lot easier because they're more domesticated. And the probe must be appropriately sized, so it's difficult to use one probe for different sized snakes. You generally have to have multiple different sizes if you're going to be catching snakes in the wild. The second method is ultrasonography, and it involves using an ultrasound machine to view the internal sex organs of the snake. And it can be done in a vet office, or you could use a portable machine. And you're looking for hemipenes, so if they're lacking, the sex is a female, and if you can see them, it's a male. And the biggest pro to this method is the fact that there's an accuracy of 100%. It's really reliable, fast, and safe when you use a high transducer frequency. The biggest downside to this method is the fact that the equipment is really expensive, so you're going to be paying several $1,000s for the equipment itself. Cannot be performed unless you have a high transducer frequency available, and again, it cannot be performed in the field unless you have portable equipment. Third method is subcaudal scale counts, and this is based on the fact that males are generally larger than females on average, and so they'll have more subcaudal scales. So counting the subcaudal scales is a way to quantify the difference between females and males. So it's really easy to perform, no equipment needed, can be done in the field. Results obtained very quickly. However, it cannot be used for individuals with broken tails or any deformities, and it's not that reliable of a method. So there's some overlap in scale counts between the sexes. So if you have a really large female or a really small male, you could misgender them. The fourth method is cloacal fluid sampling, and it involves injecting Ringer solution into the snake's cloaca and then immediately withdrawing and looking at the contents under a microscope. And you're looking for motile sperm to indicate the sex is a male. So it's an inexpensive process, doesn't require any training, can be done fairly easily, and it can be performed in the field if you bring your equipment out. It's not an entirely reliable method, so impregnated females may have motile sperm just after mating. It's an invasive method and needs to be performed with care to avoid harm to the snake. And feces could disrupt the visual of a sperm, and that's a common thing. If you catch a snake, they're usually going to expel feces. That can really disrupt any visual of sperm. So my personal recommendation, I think that ultrasonography should be pioneered more. Having 100% accuracy is a huge advantage and not something that we see a whole lot with wildlife techniques. It's especially pertinent to imperiled species such as the indigo snake, but it could be applied to other species. I think that the biggest downside to using this method is the cost of the equipment, which can be several thousands of dollars. So that wouldn't work well for really small studies or research that has little funding, but in the case of imperiled species, there's usually some money involved. So that'd be a really good alternative for sex determination in those situations. And here are my references. So the first four are for the cloacal probing. Ultrasonography is the Nudie reference, subcaudal count is the Osipka and Arnold, and the other two are just additional sources. Fitch is used for cloacal fluid sampling. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I will do my best to answer. Thank you.